This can literally make or break whether or not you move to DC. Increasing rents, that's increasing taxes, that's increasing so many things. Let's talk about the Black culture in DC, typically displacing the current inhabitants in the process. So hey beautiful people, my name is Peace and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be going over the things that I wish I knew before moving to DC. Now, DC is a great city. I'm not gonna lie, it's an amazing city, but there are a few things that I wish I knew that caught me unaware, you know, that I had to learn the hard way. So I'm gonna help y'all so you don't make the same mistake that I did. Before we get started though, my name is Peace. I am a sophomore/junior at the illustrious Howard University. And that's an HBCU here in Northwest DC. I'm technically a sophomore, but I'm a junior by credit. So in August, a few months ago, I got an off-campus apartment here in DC. If you haven't checked out my empty apartment tour and the furnished one and the moving vlog, definitely check it out. I'm gonna link it up here. If you want to know more about how I was able to move out at 19, be sure to click the notification bell because I have a video specifically on how I saved enough for that coming up soon. I'm gonna have timestamps. Say there's a specific topic that you want to skip to, you can, but all these things put together is kind of why I was caught at unawares. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help. A small YouTuber, but I'm sick and tired of being a small YouTuber. If you like my personality, you want to get to know me more, or you want advice on college, Howard, personal development, and personal finance, be sure to subscribe and join the family. But yes, without further ado, let's get started. I'm not just saying, yeah, DC, what a place to be, woo! I'm not doing all that, okay? There are good things, but they're also bad. So I'm gonna be real with y'all and tell you the good, the bad, and everything in between. The kind of person that I am, I prefer people to tell me the truth rather than sugarcoating things and just lying and this not the issue. So in this video, I'm gonna tell you the truth straight up. Like, can you decide whether or not this is a place for you to live, okay? But if you want the real, continue watching this video and please give it a like, a comment, and subscribe. It really does help your girl, okay? But yeah, let's get started. So a little bit of a brief history. So Washington, D.C. was founded after the American Revolution. After George Washington, I know that was like a duh moment. It used to be a district, but it's now a state, but it's still called the District of Columbia. Yeah, I know. Also, a lot of people don't know this, but DC is actually built on a swamp. That's why it gets kind of hot and muggy. It makes sense now, y'all. It makes sense now. So be prepared for the weather, which I'm gonna go... I'm gonna go more in details about that later in the video. The next thing you should know about DC before moving here, it is expensive. Yo, if you search up the most expensive cities in the US, DC is top 10, top 5 maybe. And I heard about it. I kind of assumed so because no, it's the capital and all that, but it wasn't until I actually lived here and paying rent and things like that and groceries, and it's expensive. There are some ways to go around and to be more affordable and to be more frugal and to be smart with your money, which I go over on this channel. So if you want to learn more, be sure to subscribe. But for the most part, DC is an expensive city. And it's funny because like I said, I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, and I've been to DC like at least dozens of times for like different field trips and stuff like that. And it didn't seem expensive to me. Maybe it was because I was never actually paying for the stuff. It was like my parents paying for the trip or something. Yeah, DC is an expensive city, y'all. Just be prepared. Also, here's a little tip, a little pro tip, if you will. If you're moving from one city to another, there's this cost of living comparison calculator. Put the city that you're moving from to the city you want to go to. For example, if you're coming from San Francisco, California, you would put San Francisco and Washington, D.C. and it would kind of compare the prices and compare the cost of living. So you kind of know, like, are you paying more? Are you paying less? The app is called Numbeo. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but I'm going to put it up on the screen. It's called Numbeo. And y'all check that out. It's an app or website, one of those, I can't remember. Also, a little pro tip, y'all, that I low-key wish that I did. Low-key, high-key, y'all. Like, you know? You don't have to live in the city. Like right now, I live in the city. You don't have to live in the city to get the city life. And it's kind of weird that I didn't know this because I lived in the suburbs. But you can move to the suburbs of DC. So what are the suburbs? Those are like surrounding counties, surrounding areas, surrounding cities that you can live that's really, really close to DC. So those suburbs include North Virginia, Arlington, Virginia, Alexandria, Virginia, Falls Church, Virginia, Silver Spring, Maryland, Bethesda, Maryland, DuPont. DuPont is here in DC. So all of these places are max 30 minutes out of DC. You can use public transportation transportation. You can drive a little bit, so they're not too crazy far. And I think it's a better alternative. Like, you pay less in rent, but you may pay a little bit more in transportation, but it's still not as much as it would be if you were paying rent in the city, if that makes sense. I'm gonna repeat because that was a little bit confusing, not gonna lie. You moving further out of the city and paying less in rent, but you're paying a little bit more in transportation fees, that'll still be less than you paying the high rent at a place in the city. I hope that makes sense. So definitely consider moving to the suburbs. And I'm not gonna lie, after this lease is up, I may move to the suburbs because these prices are not cute, y'all, okay? I'm still a college student, y'all. These prices are not cute. So speaking of expensive, did y'all know that DC charges you for bags? Like plastic bags? I did not know that. So imagine my surprise. I was buying something. They asked me, oh, do you want a bag? I said, of course. How else am I going to carry my stuff to my place? And they were like, oh yeah, that's 5 cents addition. I'm like, huh? Huh? I was blown, y'all. Like, if you're from a city that already does that, comment down below and you know how you felt when you first experienced it. But if you're not from a city that already does tax on plastic bag, just be prepared for that. And I totally understand the plastic bag and temp taxing it is their way of forcing you to not use it, and you're saving the environment, you're saving the ocean. I understand the reason behind it. It was just I was so not prepared for it. So I'm telling y'all so y'all can be prepared for it. Another thing I did not know about DC is that DC is like a big boiling pot, and I was not prepared. Most times the people you meet in DC, a few of them are DC natives, but most of the people are from everywhere. They're flying out from Cali, they're coming from this and this different places. So when they come to DC, they're bringing their ideas, their cultures, their background, and it makes a big boiling pot. And that's so interesting. That's so interesting to be able to interact with somebody who's from a totally different place, different part of the nation, different part of the world. It's just so interesting to me. But that can be a good or a bad thing, and let me explain why it can be bad. That leads to my next point. Because of all these people coming to DC, they're making the value of the property increase, and that's increasing rents, that's increasing taxes, that's increasing so many things, and this is called gentrification. Let me give y'all the dictionary definition of gentrification, then I'm gonna explain it in my own words. This is what Google says is the definition of gentrification. Gentrification, the process whereby the character of a poor urban area is changed by wealthier people moving in, improving housing, and attracting new businesses, typically displacing the current inhabitants in the process. I'm gonna repeat the last part. Typically displacing the current inhabitants in the process. So more wealthier, most times white people are coming into DC. I don't have anything against white people, right? As long as you don't have anything against me. But most times the wealthier and whiter people are coming to DC, displacing the local native black people. And it's just, I could go on and on about this experience, especially since I go to Howard, and Howard is an HBCU, and the way that the surrounding areas are just being bought up or they're just being broken down and to be rebuilt again, making everything be more expensive. It's like in 5 to 10 years tops. I have no doubt that Howard, a historically black college and university, is going to be surrounded by a totally white area. Think about it, like a black school, but the surroundings is white area. That sounds... And y'all, I'm not gonna lie, when I first visited Howard, I'm like, oh my god, this is all black people. Oh my god, wow. And I loved it. So imagine my surprise when I saw this one white guy, and he was jogging, and I'm not gonna lie, I was so confused. I'm like, wait a minute, wasn't this a black school? This was all black? So I was confused. I was a little bit shook, okay? Once again, I don't have any hatred towards white people or black people. I was just telling y'all my experience. I'm just keeping it real with y'all, okay? So like I was saying, so essentially, based on the definition, let me just reword it a little bit. Gentrification is when property taxes are increasing because new wealthy people are coming in, and because of that, middle and lower class, the locals who already live there are not able to afford the rent, so they get kicked out. That's why the homeless population is really high. And because DC is a historically black district / state, most times the people being kicked out, most times these locals are black people. Gentrification is really awful, and if you come to DC, you can definitely tell. If you see a rundown old building and next to it you see a skyscraper, glass, 49 stories, yeah, that's gentrification. That's literally it right there. And if you come to DC, you can see a lot of construction, gentrification in process. Okay, y'all? Just keep that in mind. Locals are being displaced of their livelihood. Some people have businesses that they built, and they have to shut it down. They have to close because they're not able to afford it. So gentrification leads to so many things like higher rent, homelessness, and congestion too. The next thing you know about DC is the poverty rate. Whew. Now, even though DC is the capital of this great, big America that we know of, the land of the free and the home of the brave, all that good stuff. It has one of the highest poverty rates in the nation. And make that sink in. Our whole capital has some of the highest poverty rates ever. That's just awful. Like, what is America doing? But yes, this is mostly due to gentrification, okay? It literally all flows, okay? It flows. DC has a poverty rate of 17%. 17%. Y'all, that is ridiculously high. The average poverty rate in the US in 2019 was 10.5. 10.5, y'all. And DC has twice as that. And DC is like, technically in some people's eyes, it's not even a real state. So it's just ridiculous. Just keep that in mind. Poverty is really at an all-time high. So you're gonna see a lot of people walking around, a lot of homeless people. It's just really sad, and I'm gonna try my best to fix the situation in the future. But in the meantime, just keep that in mind. So when you're coming here. Now, y'all, the next thing, let's talk about the culture. Remember how I said that DC is the melting pot of different things, different places, and how DC was like historically black hub center? Y'all, let's talk about the black culture in DC. It is amazing. It is the hub. It is, oh my God. The history ranging from like Mumbo Sauce to Chuck Brown to Ben's Chili Bowl, Adams Morgan to DuPont Circle. Y'all, DuPont Circle. There's just so many places that you can visit in DC that you can see the history, that you kind of be a part of it. It is amazing. So if you do come to DC, there's a lot of culture, black culture, white culture, other races and ethnicities as well. So it's not just black culture. It is amazing. Like I said, it's a melting pot. The culture is off the chart. But keep in mind though, because DC is like a boiling pot of different cultures and different ideas, there really is no like one solid culture. That can be a good and a bad thing, okay? So like there's not DC culture. Does that make sense? There's DC culture, but there's also other ethnicity, other backgrounds that comes with it. So I think it's a good thing, right? You get to experience and interact with more people. It's a good thing. Woo! This is the next one, y'all. Let's talk about the weather. I'm gonna repeat. Let's talk about the weather, the climate, whatever you want to call it, even though it's two different things, in DC. Y'all, did y'all know that DC used to be a swamp? When I realized that DC used to be a swamp, it made sense because DC is so hot. Oh my God. Y'all, DC can be so hot. It can be cold too because we're still in the middle, right? A little bit up north. It can be cold. But right now, it's the middle of February, and right now, the temperature is about 30-40 degrees. So it's not too crazy low when it gets cold, but DC can be so hot and humid. It's just different, okay? Now, I'm originally from Lagos, Nigeria, so I should be used to like DC's weather, but at the same time, I'm from Nigeria. I lived in Maryland, Baltimore, Maryland for like 12 years. So like, my body kind of stopped being used to Lagos weather and became used to Maryland weather. And then I'm going to DC weather, the hub of DC, the heart of DC. My body's not used to it. I talked about how warm it can be, but I get cold very, very easily. So let's talk about how cold it can be as well. Winters are not really that cold. Like, they're not crazy cold. Like, normally, the lowest that it normally gets here is like 20 degrees. And it normally does not even get that low. Even when it snows, it will still be a good 30 degrees, right? But it was, again, it's based on the year. With global warming, everything may change in a year or two. So you never know. As of today, as of 2021, the weather is not crazy in the winter. It's really because of global warming, I'm gonna lie, y'all. But average of the winter is like 30, 40, maybe 50 degrees based on it. There's literally snow outside. Y'all can't see because our blinds are closed. But there's literally snow outside and it's literally 37 degrees. Okay, so it's not crazy. We don't get a lot of snow here either. All right, now. Let's talk about what you are probably wondering about. Let's talk about transportation. Y'all, this is important, y'all, okay? This can literally make or break whether or not you move to DC. Yo, point blank period, the transportation here in DC is awful. That's it. If I can use one word to describe it, awful. Now let me explain. I don't like to make just big grand sayings without explaining myself, okay? Number one, people can't drive or park. And by that I mean, yes, they have their license, but like just because they have their license doesn't mean they know how to actually drive. Now, I feel like a lot of cities and states say that, but I don't even know what goes on with this DC locals' head, brains, minds when they drive, but they can't drive. Tell me why. Oh my god. Okay. For some reason, it's okay for DC drivers to just stop in the middle of the road to let someone out, or to literally just park the car. And I've been in too many cars and too many Ubers that do that, and I don't understand. Like, if we're driving, maybe it's 2 lanes or something like that, it's only 1 lane, we're driving and you stop, the people behind you have to stop as well. They're like, yo, you about to park here? So they have to find a way to finesse the way around you to keep going. And it's just so inconsiderate. I was driving the way y'all live, because I was just so blown by that. Like, that's just, what? Huh? So keep that in mind. Like, people will literally just stop in the middle of the road. Just don't be speeding, okay? Because if you're not speeding, you're following the rules and regulations of the road, you'll be fine, you'll be good, you'll be kind of, have your foot on the brake and be ready for it. If you're not, that's where the problem starts. Let's talk about the roads in DC. Yo, I don't know the architect that came up with the roads here in DC, but they need to be fired. And if they're buried, which they most likely are, they need to be raised from the dead, fired, and buried again. They need deliverance, y'all. I really don't know what was going through their mind when they were making DC. I really don't. Okay, I just don't understand. Can you tell me why? The roads are designed in a way that's just so weird. Like, first of all, it's not even a normal road. The roads are like slanted, it's tilted, it's not a straight perpendicular, it's tilted, it has curves and all that. And also, they will literally say, do not turn on left. Do not do this. Also, there's a bike lane, which is kind of good for the bikers. But what really irks my soul about driving in DC is the one way. I swear, every street or every other street is one way. One way. So if you made a wrong turn, you can't even go that way, because you're literally headed into incoming traffic. You're literally setting yourself up for failure. So it's just, I'm aggravated and I barely even drive, okay? It's just a lot, okay? Just be prepared for that. Because DC is such a thriving city, you don't really have to use a car. You don't actually have to have a car. It's kind of like New York in a way. You can get by using the bus and the metro, okay? We have a fantastic metro system. It's clean, it's nice. I know I've said a lot of negative about the driving, but like, the metro system, que bonita, you feel me? Amazing. So the metro system is A1. You can literally just use the metro and the bus stop. However, if you live further out, so if you live like in the suburbs, like I mentioned before, the commute time will be longer, and that's why a lot of people take the metro and the bus stop, because it's less congested. If you were driving from the suburbs, which a lot of people do with a car and stuff, like, good luck, okay? Especially during rush hour. That's all I'm going to say, okay? Just good luck. But hey, the good news about the long rides and the long commute is that that's the perfect time for you to listen to an audiobook or listen to a podcast or something to better and nourish your mind. If you need a suggestion of an audiobook to listen to The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. I don't know if y'all can see it. It's amazing. It teaches you how to form good habits and break bad ones, essentially. So if you're driving or using the bus or metro, try not to do it during rush hour, okay? So that's the hours of like 7 to 9 a.m. and 5 to 7 p.m. So the next thing you should know about DC before moving here is like there's just so much to do. And I'm not gonna lie, I did not fully experience this myself. Partly because of the virus, but also because I'm a homebody. I've been trying to fix that. Like, DC is an amazing city. There's just so many opportunities, so many places you can go to relax, to enjoy yourself, to meet people, ranging from like free museums. There's just so many museums that I could list, like the African American Museum, the Smithsonian. There's a lot of museums. I've been to a lot of these museums because elementary, middle, and high school, I grew up in Baltimore, Maryland, and our field trips was a 45-minute or hour drive down to DC to visit a museum or something. I can't make this up. Every single year, at least one time a year, we always came down to DC for a field trip. There's a lot of things to do in DC. Like, even though I came here so many times in my childhood, there's still a lot of things that I have not discovered myself. Y'all just search it up. Free museums. Boom. A little tour you can do. The historical sites, like, do I gotta tell y'all about the different historical sites that we have in DC? The Washington Monument, literally all the monuments. Come on, y'all. The unique architecture, like Georgetown. The environment is just so beautiful. The university, yes, but mostly just the area. DuPont Circle, y'all. DuPont Circle is amazing, and DuPont Circle has a lot of, they have like food places, they have like malls, places you can work. One of my friends actually worked at DSW in DuPont Circle. 15-minute train ride from like Howard's campus, so it was really not that far. Okay, there's just so much to do, and especially if you're moving here with somebody, like even more stuff to do. And that's just the free stuff. And of course, if you want to spend money on stuff, there's even more. That just opens the variety of things you can do. Okay, like this place I went with my roommate to, it's called Art Tech House, and it's the combination of art, tech, and house. But it's a combination of art and tech, and it's amazing. I'll insert some pictures here that I did not post yet, but maybe I will. And it's just so cool. There's just so many things you can do. It was only like $10. So just search it up, things to do in DC. But even better, what I do, I go to TikTok and I do hashtag things to do in DC, or hashtag Washington DC, or something like that. And there's always something to do. There's always places to visit. In Northern Virginia, like what, maybe 20 minutes away, there's this candle place. What's it called? Patty Wax? It's called Patty Wax. It's 20 minutes away. You get to make your own candles. You put the oils. You make it. Y'all, I am definitely gonna go there. Maybe for my birthday. I don't know. But like I said, there's so many places that you can visit and things to do. DMV, metropolitan area. Like, there's just so many things to do. Because DC is a melting pot, there's just so many different kinds of food. They're just mouth-watering. They're just amazing that you definitely need to try. Foods from different cultures, food from different backgrounds. There's soul food. There's so many different kinds of food. I could go on and on about the food, but just like how there's so many things to do in DC, there's so many different kinds of foods in DC too, okay? Keep in mind that while this place has a lot of things to do and it's fun, it's creative, it's all that, keep in mind that this is a business city. People move to DC for work, okay? For work, whether that's for law. A lot of people are lawyers here, or something to do with law. Whether that's for law or for the medical school, Howard Medical School, or different things. But a lot of people move here for the job opportunities. So this is a business city at its core, okay? DC attracts a lot of overeducated, overachievers who literally look good on paper and they want to show off. They want to become better. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, y'all. DC is a dialed down version of Silicon Valley. I haven't been to Silicon Valley yet, okay? But I've been to LA. DC is a dialed down version of what I imagine Silicon Valley would be. It's just like, you know, people at the top, they have the rankings, that the achievements. They're like, you know, walking around like they're the ish. That's kind of sort of what DC is like, but it's really what you make of it. You can meet some fantastic people who are not that way. So I never ever want to generalize and just speaking out of turn, because it's not always true. This city is filled with politicians and people who deal with law. So that can be a good and a bad thing, because you can connect with somebody, and if you're ever in a pinch, you ever need help, God forbid, they're cool with you. They'll be maybe help you out. But at the same time, if you are like out drunk and you're doing who knows what with who knows who, and you're getting into trouble, and you don't know that the person you're sitting next to is like a cop or a lawyer that's off duty, imagine the embarrassment that you will face that day. So just keep in mind that you never know who you can interact with, to just be on your best behavior. You never really know. First impressions really matter, so just try to make the best one as possible. But y'all, can y'all imagine like spilling your guts, spilling your entire history, spilling all your bad deeds? Someone who's CIA but is off duty? Yeah, I know. But yeah, like DC, thriving city with so many opportunities. So do not ever forget that. Even with its good, it's bad, and everything in between, there's just so many opportunities, so many people to meet, so many amazing things that's possible and has so much potential here in DC. If I didn't like the South so much, I may have stayed, maybe settled down in DC. I'm not gonna lie, after Howard, I'm gonna move to the South, okay? I just am, okay? Another thing to keep in mind is that weed is legal. Okay, I'm gonna repeat for the people in the back. Weed, marijuana, weed, pot, whatever you call it, is legal in DC. Do that. Okay, just wanted to throw that out there, you feel me? Just wanted to let y'all know that weed is legal in DC. Yeah, keep that in mind. The next thing you know about DC is the crime rates and the crime centers. Now, because of everything that's going on with DC, like, you know, gentrification and everyone coming in, coming out, different ideas and all that, of course there's bound to be clashes. It's like a big family of like 12 kids or something. There's always going to be fights. So here in DC, the fights are a little bit more deadlier, you know, it's a little bit more stabbing and gunshots included. But I feel like that's every city, so I can't just like make it seem like DC is awful, you feel me? Every city has high crime, every city has crimes, like no city is ever spotless. If you can name me one city that's spotless, I will give you $20. Try it in the comment section below. Name me a city that does not have any crime whatsoever. You say it in the comment section, I search it up myself. If I'm wrong, drop your Cash App and I will give you $20. Okay? Like I said, there's a lot of crime basically everywhere, but most part it's populated around the east. Like East DC, so like the southeast and the northeast. Those are the areas that you gotta, you know, clutch your pearls when you walk in, maybe clutch your purse. Yeah, those are the areas you may not be able to walk alone yourself, even if you're a girl or a guy, okay? Just keep that in mind. Yeah, other than that, there may be a crime rates here and there in other parts of DC, but they're mostly situated on the, you know, right side, the east side. But like I said, that can be used for any major city, so don't just be like, oh my god, DC has crime, oh my god, ah. It can be to any city, okay, y'all? If you're trying to move to DC, which part are you trying to move to? Let's talk down in the comment section below. I can give you a little pointers and tips that I learned along the way so you don't have to the hard way. If you're a DC native or you're coming to DC or you lived in DC yourself, what are some things that I forgot to mention that you feel like other people should know? Drop it down in the comment section below. I am here to help everybody to my best abilities, but I am only human, so I may have forgotten a few things. This is just a list of things that I came up with that was, you know, off the dome. So comment down below things that other people should know. Like, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. So I actually have a video specifically dedicated to finding an apartment in DC. Be on the lookout for that. Like, be sure to like, subscribe, click the bell so you get notified when that video does come out. If you haven't watched my empty apartment tour, my moving vlog, my furnished apartment tour, if that's up yet, be sure to check that out as well. Some upcoming videos that I want you guys to keep in mind is how I saved enough to be able to move out at 19 out of my parents' house to this place in DC. And if you want to know more about that, be sure to click the notification bell. But yes, y'all, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. That was the video. Until next time, peace out.